Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today I am playing Alien: Fate of the Nostromo, and this is the second time that I have played this game on the channel. Only this time, we are doing something slightly different. And fair warning, on the off chance that you have never seen the film Alien, this playthrough today will be something of a spoiler, because it does reveal a secondary antagonist. So this is your one chance to pause the video, go away, watch Alien, and then come back and watch the rest of the playthrough. Okay? Good. So our secondary antagonist is Ash. Ash is the android on board the ship, and he is working for the company Weyland-Yutani in order to secure the alien for the bioweapons division. He's going to do that any way possible. The crew are expendable. So as this is my second playthrough of this game, I'm not going to front load the video with rules. Hopefully you have checked out the first video already. If not, I'll explain things as we go. I will, however, briefly lay out what Ash is bringing to our playthrough. Ash is represented by this cardboard standee that starts in the medbay. At certain points during the game, we will reveal cards that will activate Ash. And I'm saying this up front, the rules for including Ash in the game are a little bit muddy, they are not well written, so there is a chance that I am playing this slightly incorrectly or not exactly as the designer intended, but this is how I have interpreted the rules. When Ash activates, if he is in an empty room, he will move towards either the closest scrap or the closest crew member. If during that move he lands on any scrap, he will stop moving and collect all of that scrap, removing it from the board. If during his move he comes into contact with one or more crew members, every crew member on that space must either lose one morale or one scrap. If they have no scrap to lose, then they have to lose the morale. Additionally, if there is loose scrap on the floor, Ash will take that too. If Ash starts his move on scrap, he won't move, instead he will just collect that scrap up. If Ash starts his move in a room with any crew members, those crew members have him under observation, and as he is trying to be clandestine in his operations, he will do nothing. So really, he is just a roaming secondary threat that will hoover up scrap and occasionally cause morale loss. Moving on, as with my first playthrough, I am using the characters Ripley, Dallas and Parker. I do select my characters at random, but if I am using less than 5 characters, I do have a house rule that I set Brett aside. Brett has probably the most powerful ability of all of the characters in the game. He can create items for free, and also those items cost 1 scrap less. However, to offset that very powerful ability, he only gets 3 actions per turn. In games with a lower character count, I find that too much of a penalty, because there aren't enough people who can get the scrap to him to make use of his special ability. So he gets set aside, but I randomly pick from the remaining 4. And before I started recording, I set up our objectives for this mission. You have to select 1 objective for each character plus 1 more. We have got Give It a Little Incentive, we have to bring an electric prod to the galley, we have Shouldn't Have Landed on This Ball, bring a grapple gun to the garage, we have Where Is It, bring a flashlight to the medbay, and we have Prep the Suits, drop 2 coolant canisters in suit storage. We also have a final mission which has been drawn at random from a set of 5 and placed face down beside the board. The final things to do in setup are to place our heroes in the galley, our alien in the nest, our morale tracker at 15 on this morale tracker down here. If that morale tracker ever hits 0, it's game over for us. Then we have placed coolant canisters, scrap tokens and concealed tokens at various locations around the board. I have been talking for quite long enough without playing, so we're going to dive into it. We're going to start by activating Ripley. Ripley gets 4 actions as standard, and an action will allow you to move 1 space, pick up or drop any number of scrap tokens on your space, pick up or drop 1 item from your space, use a special ability or an item, or create an item, or open up a round of trading with all of the characters in your location. Ripley's special ability is she can use an action to move any other crew member 1 space. We are going to start the game by using that action twice to move Dallas 2 spaces, because we want to get Dallas to the medbay as quickly as possible to create a flashlight. And yes, Ash is currently in the medbay, so that is a little bit of a danger. However, the way I read the rules is if a crew member moves into a space with Ash, then we don't suffer any morale loss. Ash is trying to act normally. It is only when Ash is activated and moves into our space and he tries to sneak up on us or spook us or jump scare us that we lose the morale. So we will move Dallas twice, down to suit storage. And then because it makes sense, we are going to move Parker twice towards Mother at the top left corner of the board. That's all of Ripley's actions, so we draw an encounter card. Our first card is Quiet. The icon in the top left says the alien moves 1 space. The icon in the top right says the alien will inflict a loss of 2 morale if any crew members come into contact with him. And then we have 2 scrap appearing at the docking bay, along with 1 concealed token. First the alien moves. Then scrap and a concealed token appears at the docking bay, which is just to Ripley's right. That completes Ripley's whole turn, so Dallas activates. Dallas doesn't have any special abilities, but he gets 5 actions, which means he isn't excellent at any one particular thing, but he is always useful. We are going to move 3 spaces to get into the med bay with Ash. And as I already mentioned, by my reading of the rules, we do not suffer any morale loss. Basically, we walk into the room and Ash is like, "Oh, hello, Captain. Yeah, no, I'm not up to anything. I wasn't about to steal this scrap here." For our 4th action, we're going to pick up the 2 scrap on this space. And for our 5th and final action, we are going to spend both of those scrap to build a flashlight. We place this flashlight on Dallas's card. For the rest of the game, while he has this flashlight, any time he would lose morale, that morale loss is reduced by 1. Furthermore, we needed the flashlight to complete our first objective. The objective Where Is It states that we need to bring a flashlight to the med bay. We have done that, so we can flip that first objective face down. That's a really good start for us. But that does complete Dallas's turn, so now we need to draw another encounter card. The alien hunts. It moves 2 spaces, and if it comes into contact with any crew, we lose 4 morale. No new scrap is appearing on the board this turn. The alien always has to move towards the closest crew member, and I should have pointed out there is a ladder in this space here in the equipment storage which connects to suit storage here, and there is a ladder here in the maintenance bay which connects with the docking bay up there. Ripley is the closest crew member, and the shortest route is for the alien to go up through maintenance bay, so that is where our alien goes. It is now Parker's turn. Parker gets 4 actions. His special ability is a once per turn ability that allows him to generate a piece of scrap in his inventory. First, we're going to move 2 spaces up towards Mother. For our 3rd action, we're going to collect the coolant canister because we will need that for the prep suits mission. For our 4th action, we could pick up the scrap that is on our space. However, I know that in the encounter deck there are numerous cards that will remove scrap from our inventory. So for our 4th action, I'm just going to use my special ability that lets me generate 1 scrap. Next turn, hopefully I can collect the other 2 scrap and build myself a grapple gun or an electric prod. I need both of those things for different objectives. So here's my 1 scrap token, which I generate and add to my inventory. And now we draw an encounter card. We have drawn the Alien Stalks card, and this is a problem because it is going to move 3 spaces, and Ripley is within 3 spaces. So the alien will move up through the docking bay and attack Ripley in the galley. The card had a value of 3 for morale loss, so we have to reduce our morale track by 3. That track started at 15, so that is a big hit quite early on. Furthermore, we have to retreat 3 spaces with Ripley, and we can choose where she goes as long as she runs exactly 3 spaces. So I am going to run down through suit storage into equipment storage. That puts me in a relatively safe position where I can also gather up that coolant canister next turn. Speaking of which, it is now Ripley's turn, so for my first action, I collect the coolant canister. We now have the 2 coolant canisters we need, we just need to get them to the suit storage, which is, of course, just there. And then I'm going to use Ripley's final 3 actions to move Dallas. And the reason I'm going to move Dallas is because I want Dallas to move out towards the docking bay. That does put him quite close to the alien, but I'm going to take that risk. It also means we have to reveal a concealed token, but as Dallas has the flashlight at the moment, he can reduce any morale loss, so he is the best person to be revealing concealed tokens at the moment. If we reveal the concealed token and it is safe, and furthermore the alien doesn't move very far on its turn, on Dallas's turn we are well positioned to scoop up a lot more scrap. So we move 3 spaces. Dallas is a very brave captain indeed. We have to flip that concealed token and see if that bravery is paid off. And it's a safe location, so For now, at least, Dallas is okay. This token gets shuffled back into the pile. And now we draw an encounter card. Again, things are going our way. We have drawn a quiet card, which means the alien will only move one space, and then scrap and a concealed token will appear at the airlock. Dallas is the closest crew member, so the alien stalks one space closer. We then place scrap and a concealed token at the airlock. It's now Dallas's turn. We are going to start by spending one action to pick up the 2 scrap on our space. Next, we are going to go down the ladder into maintenance. That does mean we have to reveal another concealed token. Let's see what we've got. Uh-oh, the alien saw what we were planning, snuck into a vent, and has caused us some problems now. It has jumped out at us, causing a loss of 2 morale, which we reduced by 1 because of our flashlight. So first, this will terminate Dallas's turn early. We won't get to use Dallas's other 3 actions, which is a big hit. I really wanted to use those to get another item built. That's the risk when you reveal a concealed token. Next, the alien moves to our location, and then Dallas has to run 3 spaces. Now remember, one of our objectives is to get a grapple gun to the garage. Dallas already has 2 scrap, and there's 2 more scrap in the garage. So if we run 3 spaces into the garage, and hopefully the concealed token in the garage will not be the alien, we can sit there, hide out until our next activation, when we can build the grapple gun and complete another objective. Fingers crossed the alien isn't going to follow us. So we've moved 3 spaces to the garage, we now have to reveal that other concealed token. And we have found Jonesy the cat. Bother that cat. This is a jump scare. It would normally reduce our morale by 1, but we have the flashlight, so we do not take any morale loss from this token. That almost completes our turn, except of course, we have to reduce our morale. The alien jumped out at us and did inflict 2 morale loss, which we reduced by 1 for our flashlight. That may look like it was a bit of a bad turn really, because Dallas lost 3 actions. However, he has ended up in the garage exactly where he wanted to be. Furthermore, because the alien jumped out at us and terminated our turn early, we do not draw an encounter card this turn. We go straight on to Parker's turn, and Parker is going to spend 1 action to pick up the 2 scrap on his space. He's then going to spend all 3 of those scrap to build an electric prod. Here's the electric prod. It's an item with 2 uses. If the alien attacks Parker at any point, he can activate the electric prod and it will reduce the amount of morale that he loses by 2. For our final 2 actions, we are going to move 2 spaces back to the bridge, because if we can now get to the galley, we can also use our electric prod to complete another objective. And now we draw an encounter card. And the card we have drawn is Order 937, Collating Data. This is the first card that will activate Ash. First of all, each crew member will lose 1 scrap. The only crew with any scrap is Dallas. He has 2, so he will lose 1. And then, if Ash is on the ship, he moves 2 spaces. So first we lose that scrap. And now Ash moves 2 spaces. He will move towards the closest crew or the closest scrap. Ripley in the equipment storage or scrap tokens in the maintenance bay are both of equal distance, so we get to pick in this case, and I think it's far too early in the movie for Ash to confront Ripley, so he is going to sneak off to try and get to maintenance bay and take our scrap. So he moves to there. That completes Parker's turn, so it is now Ripley's turn to activate. She is first going to go up the ladder to suit storage. She is then going to drop her coolant canister there, because that puts us halfway towards completing the prep suits mission. She is then going to use her final 2 actions to move Parker twice, because we can move Parker into the galley, and that will complete the Give It a Little Incentive objective. Now the Give It a Little Incentive mission just says bring an electric prod to the galley. It doesn't say use it, it doesn't say drop it, we just have to have it there. We have achieved that goal, so we can flip our objective card face down. We're a little over halfway there. But Ripley is out of action, so it's time to draw an encounter card. And the card we've drawn is Order 937, Meet Me in the Infirmary. The active crew member moves to the med bay. If Ash is in the ship and no crew member is with him, move him 2 spaces. I may have said moments ago that it was too early in the movie for Ash to confront Ripley, but it looks like that's going to happen anyway. First, we have to move Ripley to the med bay. Remember, it's her turn even though we just moved Parker, and then Ash will move 2 spaces, so he is going to pop back to med bay to give Ripley a medical, one she doesn't really want. When Ash encounters the crew in this manner, they must either lose 1 scrap or 1 morale. We do not have any scrap, which means we have to suffer the morale loss. It's time for Dallas to activate, and it's pretty obvious what we are going to do. First action, we're going to pick up the 2 scrap in the garage. For our second action, we're going to make the grapple gun. The grapple gun is a 2-use item. You can use it for an action, and if you are within 3 spaces of the alien, you can move the alien up to 3 spaces. And because we have the grapple gun in the garage, we can complete the objective shouldn't have landed on this ball. As with the previous objective, that doesn't cost us an action and we don't have to use or drop the grapple gun, we just have to be there with it. We have 3 actions left, so we're going to use our third action to collect that coolant canister. We don't necessarily need it for the prep suits mission, but there are a couple of final missions that do require coolant canisters as well, so it's usually a good idea to grab one if you have an opportunity. For my fourth action, I'm going to move out into the corridor. And then as I move into the corridor, I hear a long, slow, sibilant hiss coming from the maintenance bay. So obviously, I prep my grapple gun and I fire. The alien retreats 3 spaces. We are going to push the alien up as far away as we can possibly put it. We're going to put it up in the hypersleep chamber. The hypersleep chamber isn't currently a location I need to go to, and it's a little bit out of the way, so hopefully it will take a few turns for the alien to get back into a position where it can bother us. We have to flip our grapple gun token face down to indicate that we have used it once. And of course, I mustn't forget to remove the 3 scrap token from Dallas's card, which he used to build that grapple gun in the first place. That finishes our 5 activations, so we draw an encounter card. And the encounter card we have drawn is Order 937 Collating Data. And this is an interesting card because first each crew must lose 1 scrap. None of the crew have any scrap, we have spent it wisely. But then it says if Ash is in the ship, move him 2 spaces. Why this card is interesting is because the other Order 937 cards say if Ash is in the ship and no crew member is with him, move him 2 spaces. This card specifically omits that piece of information. So this is one of those situations where I have to defer to my general understanding of board games. It is usually the case that a rulebook will say, if any rules on any card say something different, the card text will trump the rules book text. These will be exceptions to the standard course of play. So when I play this game with Ash and then I get a collating data card, I basically play the card exactly as stated, which means Ash will move 2 spaces. He basically ignores any crew member in his space, and he will treat the next closest target as his new objective. Basically, he's already menaced Ripley, so he needs to go and see someone else now. And while I can't say for certain that's the intent, it feels to me like that is the intent because then we have cards in the encounter deck that will encourage Ash to move. Otherwise, you could park a crew member on Ash's space and Ash would be frozen in that space for the whole game. The long and the short of it is Ash is going to move 2 spaces and the closest target is Parker. We are going to head up towards the docking bay. That completes Dallas's turn. It's time to activate Parker, and Parker, being the absolute boss that he is going to complete another objective for us. First of all, he moves 2 spaces to suit storage. With his third action, he drops a coolant canister. We now have 2 coolant canisters in suit storage, which means we have completed our 4th and final objective, prep the suits. Parker still has 1 action left, but before he takes it, we have to reveal our final mission. And unbelievably, in the game that I play on camera with Ash as a secondary antagonist, my final mission is You Have My Sympathies. This is the mission where we win if we kill Ash. First of all, we have the setup instructions. We have to place all discarded coolant canisters in the equipment storage. We then have to place Ash at Mother. Ash will move towards crew members when he moves. Our objective is to defeat Ash by dealing 3 damage to him. Whenever Ash encounters a crew member, that crew member must discard a coolant canister to deal 1 damage to Ash and move him 3 spaces of their choice. Otherwise, they lose 3 morale and they flee 3 spaces. When Ash is defeated, we remove Ash from the ship. And our victory is use an incinerator on the alien after Ash has been defeated. First things first, dropped coolant canisters are not the same as discarded coolant canisters, so we do not have to reallocate any of those. We do, however, have to reallocate Ash. He has to go all the way up to Mother. And now Parker can take his final action. Obviously, to complete our objective, we need coolant canisters because, as anybody will tell you, the best way to do away with an artificial person is to bonk them in the head with a coolant canister, even if you happen to have a grappling gun or an electric prod at your disposal. So we collect our coolant canister. Unfortunately, that was our final action, so we have to draw an encounter card. And sometimes it's amazing how a board game can recreate its theme, because just at this very moment, in this scenario, as Ash has exposed himself as the villain he is, we have drawn Order 937, Crew Expendable. The active crew member loses all scrap tokens. We then have to shuffle all Order 937 encounter cards back into the encounter deck, and then if Ash is in the ship, he moves 2 spaces. Fortunately, Parker doesn't have any scrap to lose, but Ash will move 2 spaces to the bridge, and all of our Order 937 cards get shuffled back into the deck. It is now Ripley's turn, so she uses her first 3 actions to move to suit storage, and then she will use her final action to pick up the canister. All of the crew have coolant canisters now, we just need to go and speak to Ash. We draw an encounter card, and we have drawn Quiet. The alien moves 1 space, and Scrap appears at medbay. First, the alien sneaks out of the hypersleep chamber, and then our Scrap and our concealed token appears at medbay. It's time for Dallas to activate. He needs some scrap to build an incinerator for the final stage of our objective, so he is going to move to maintenance and grab the 2 scrap there. That's 2 actions to move, 1 action to grab the scrap. He has 2 actions left. He's going to go up the ladder to the docking bay, spy the alien that's just ahead of him, turn around and run in the opposite direction. He is heading towards medbay and that last important scrap we need. We have to draw an encounter card. We have to hope that Dallas doesn't get attacked by the alien. And our luck holds for now. We've drawn the Quiet card, equipment storage. The alien will move 1 space and 2 scrap appears at the equipment storage. First, the alien approaches Dallas, and then scrap and a concealed token appears at the equipment storage. That completes the encounter phase. It is now Parker's turn. Parker has 4 actions. He has a coolant canister. He knows what he has to do. It's going to take him all 4 actions, but he's going up to the bridge to deal with Ash. We have to discard our coolant canister and place it on the You Have My Sympathies final mission card. We are 1/3 of the way to destroying Ash. Ash now runs 3 spaces. We obviously want him to run towards Ripley because Ripley also has a coolant canister that she would like to introduce to his face. Next, we draw an encounter card, and we knew we were pushing our luck with Dallas. The alien creeps forwards into Dallas's space, but then some scrap appears at the workshop too. The alien attacks. Dallas would normally suffer 2 morale loss here, but it is reduced by 1 because of the flashlight. Next, Dallas has to run exactly 3 spaces, and we do still need scrap to build an incinerator, so we are going to run to the airlock. That does mean we have to risk revealing a concealed token, but hopefully there'll be nothing there, and then Dallas is in a good position to collect the scrap tokens. So we've moved into the airlock, and now we need to reveal that token. And we are safe. Finally, we put a scrap token on the workshop. We don't place a concealed token there because you can only ever have 1 concealed token on any 1 space. Well, that could have been worse. It's now Ripley's turn. For her first action, she is going to move into Ash's space, which will enable us to inflict a 2nd wound on him. As before, we discard our coolant canister, and then Ash will run 3 spaces of our choosing. Ash will, of course, run in Dallas's direction. By placing him there, if we draw a card that activates Ash, Ash will move into Dallas's space, and Dallas will get to bonk him on the head. Ripley still has 3 actions left. It's very tempting to use 2 of them to move Dallas onto Ash, which will inflict the final wound, but Dallas is well positioned at the moment to collect scrap tokens to build the incinerator. The problem will be if the alien moves into Dallas's location and tries to eat him, in which case Dallas will run away again. So we're going to use Ripley as bait. Ripley is going to move into a position where, if it comes down to it, the alien will have a choice of meals, and we can choose to attack Ripley instead of Dallas. So we will use 2 actions to move her there just below medbay. For her final action, she may as well move Parker 1 space towards the galley so that he's a little bit closer. We draw an encounter card, and we have drawn the alien hunts. It's going to move 2 spaces and inflict 4 morale damage. And I have just realised what a massive mistake I made with the placement of Ripley there. Ripley could have been in suit storage and still been the same distance away from the alien as Dallas was. She would have been able to lure the alien towards her without actually taking any damage. As it is, the alien will attack her and we will lose 4 morale. That is a big hit, and that puts us very close to losing. The alien moves there. We lose 4 points of morale, and Ripley has to run 3 spaces. She is going to run towards the galley because in any other direction there is a risk of taking more damage, either from revealing concealed tokens or from bumping into Ash. That was a disaster, but I actually think it's okay because it's time for Dallas to activate. Dallas is going to use his first action to collect 2 scrap. He is going to use his second action to build the incinerator. The incinerator is a 2-use item. For 1 action, you can use it within 3 spaces of the alien to send the alien back to the nest. That cost us all of our scrap, but we don't mind. We are now going to use 2 actions to move into Ash's space. Because we have moved into a space with Ash, we have to discard our coolant canister. That is the 3rd hit on Ash, so Ash goes down. We place the last coolant canister on the You Have My Sympathies mission card, and then we remove Ash's standee from the board. Sorry Ash, I can't lie about your chances. And because Dallas is awesome, he gets 5 actions. I have 1 action left. I am exactly 3 spaces away from the alien, so I can use my incinerator to blast the alien from where I am. That will send it back to the nest, and it will complete the final stage of our You Have My Sympathies mission objective, which was to use the incinerator on the alien after Ash has been defeated. So that's it. The alien is destroyed, Ash is destroyed, and our heroic crew live to get their equal shares. That is a win. And a pretty convincing one, actually. We didn't get a lot of the alien cards that move the alien very quickly and cause a lot of damage, and Ash wasn't as much of a problem as he could have been. He was a minor annoyance. I think his inclusion in the game becomes more problematic at higher player counts, and I think that is a thing with this game in general. The more characters you have on the board, the tougher the game gets. Although you get a little bit more morale to work with, the alien is always just a few spaces away from one of the crew when there are 5 bodies on the board to hunt down. And Ash also has many more opportunities to sneak up on lone crew members, steal their morale or steal their scrap. But with just 3 crew, you have just enough people to move around the ship and collect the things you want, whilst also being able to keep 1 step ahead of your enemies. I do think this game probably plays best at 4, and that's 4 characters without Brett. At 4 characters, you have an additional objective to deal with, you're a little bit more cramped, a little bit more claustrophobic, you get the additional morale which helps to offset the fact that Alien has more opportunities to catch you, but it's generally a slightly tighter game, a little bit more of a struggle to win. But there we go, I wanted to do this second playthrough with the Ash character included because it does change the game a little bit. Hopefully some people have found that interesting. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.